So this last section, or this last segment, is about materials and sustainability. I don't know if it's going to do justice, because these last 5 presenters are really, really amazing, doing some great work. So I'm not sure. We might need to come up with a better title for that. But we're going to start with our first presenter, Natalie Rodriguez, and Wendy Falk, who could not be here, but we have Natalie. But I'm going to introduce Wendy so you know who she is, as she contributed to this project. Wendy was trained as an architect and is the creative director and founder of We Designs and founder of the socially missioned venture Resilient Modular Systems, Inc. Wendy is also a tenure-track assistant professor enforcing and leading the digital media and design program at the Gerald D. Hines College of Architecture, University of Houston, and completing her Doctor of Design at the Harvard University Graduate School of Design. Natalie, who is here, recently served as a Clinton Global Initiative University Fellow through her research focused on utilizing modular construction and organic technology to address depleting natural resources and its effect on environmental refugees. Her research focused on the development of land use planning incentives to preserve natural ecologies and discourage major development in vulnerable locations. So, welcome, Natalie.
I just want to share these with you guys. I'm just like, oh, okay. Okay, so I don't usually present, so I want to try my best. Okay. So Resilient Modular Systems seeks to be a global leader in sustainable and resilient construction components for the building industry, targeting emerging markets. Our team was awarded first runner-up at the Harvard Dean's Design Challenge and Social Enterprise Challenge. We were awarded 1 out of 5 Editor's Choice Awards at World Maker Faire. And we were recently featured as finalists at the South by Southwest Eco Place by Design competition and Startup Springboard. Through Resilient Modular Systems, we not only aim to enhance the quality of living, but reduce the carbon footprint. And we have a great complementary team that's working on it, led by co-founder Wendy Falk, trained architect working on her doctor at Harvard Graduate School of Design, me, Clinton Global Initiative University Fellow, Jared Sisk from the Harvard Business School, and Jean-Christophe Rachesek, Principal Engineer at AECOM. We also have a very diverse board of advisors and mentors, ranging from experts from IDEO to the esteemed professors at the Harvard Graduate School of Design and the Harvard Business School, including, it's a lot of people, familiar relationships in the engineering and construction industry in the Dominican Republic, which is our target pilot country. Many low-income residents in developing countries live in homes that provide inadequate protection from the elements. Made from materials produced with large quantities of non-renewable resources, and we seek to solve this age-old problem through the provision of resilient green building materials at affordable prices. Our flagship product is a roofing prototype that uses a combination of thoughtful engineering, architecture, and design principles to provide an alternative to the corrugated metal and fiber cement roofing that the developing world currently depends on. Corrugated roof homes have been used as a proxy for poverty, and residents in these homes suffer from constant overheating to the point where they regularly try to find alternative solutions to adapt, like cutting holes in their homes, throwing water on the roofs to try to keep it cold, which is not very efficient. Although metal roofing is ideally not the first choice, it is the most economical option. But it has a need to be repaired at least once every 2 years, and it does little to protect from extreme temperatures. In addition to its low performance qualities, some of the major problems with metal roofing actually deal with how their homes endure environmental disasters like flooding, earthquakes, and hurricanes, something that's a real threat in the Dominican Republic. We understand that introducing products into countries is a daunting task. Thus, to facilitate RMS's product penetration, we've initiated contact and speaking with established construction companies in Latin America. With companies like Prenova, which is a developer and construction company that uses novel building approaches to reduce material consumption. Un Techo para Mi País, which is a NGO that builds homes for people people below poverty line in Latin America. And in Africa specific, whoa, the slides are not moving, or is that the end? Oh man, oh man, well, and in Africa specifically, Mass Design Group. Through these partnerships, we aim to expand, and not only distribute and build more resilient homes, but to also educate these communities on new fabrication technologies, like with 3D printing and computer fabrication, which drives our research and design process. I didn't get to the good stuff yet, so I'm kind of, should I stop or can I keep going? Yes. Okay, sorry. We've estimated based off data from the UN and market reports that over 500 million people suffer from corrugated roof problems. In Dominican Republic, with a housing deficit of 600,000, 58% is due to poor quality housing. As the daughter of Dominican immigrants, I feel personally connected to this venture. I regularly go to the Dominican Republic and I interact with the people who live this reality daily. And these people are our family, our neighbors, and our friends. We recognize that our target consumers don't have much of an option but to implement these ineffective forms of shelter. They not only lack adequate insulation and require costly and tedious maintenance, but also lack proper incorporation of plumbing and electrical features as well. In addition to the pollution that these often unregulated construction methods create for the lower class, these systems can become hazardous because they fail under extreme conditions. We are critical of the little progress in construction methods over the past 40 years as people continue to build with the same wasteful materials, blocks of concrete, reinforced concrete, which rebar is really expensive, and valuable wood. In a country where 70% of the wood has to be imported due to deforestation of the natural island forests, adequate housing becomes beyond the reach of most of the poor and middle class. And it's an issue that's even worse in our neighbor country, Haiti. RMS addresses this problem through a modular system that aims to reduce CO2 in production, provide safe costs per unit, consume less fuel, and reduce lifetime costs and capital expenditures through local sourcing and distribution, which means that RMS's roofing system is easy to construct with limited tools, without the need of highly skilled labor or hiring contractors, and it is locally produced from locally sourced recycled materials to reduce waste. So, like recycled plastics, for example. Composed of a series of smaller modular components, they're aggregated to create scalable structural forms, allowing one to replace or upgrade modules with modular systems that have integrated features for solar power technology, water harvesting, agricultural, and plumbing features. This is provided by the airspace within each module that gives our system unique insulating properties and allows one to also run other types of systems within our system. This is our first step toward creating an alternative to the corrugated roof and fiber cement that people currently depend on. I'm glad to have had the opportunity to present this project to you guys. We're really excited about the next steps. If you're interested in learning more about it, you can just come up to me and we can talk about it, or if you want to get involved too. So, thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. So we had a little bit of a technical issue, as you could tell at the beginning, but not to worry. The reason we're filming this is the content's going to be available on the Architecture for Humanity website in a couple of days, maybe a week, depends. But we're hoping that you could see all of the presentations and hear everything, so not to worry, it'll be available to you. And then, as Natalie said, please get in touch with her as well for more information. We're going to move to the second presenter, Eduardo Ortiz. There he is. Okay, excellent. So Eduardo is a lead green associate architect from Monterrey who loves to develop sustainable projects and take on challenging briefs. Eduardo is the chapter coordinator of Architecture for Humanity's Monterrey chapter in Mexico. He's co-founder of Arcubios architecture firm and a professor at 2 universities in Monterrey. He has collaborated with several organizations such as Techo Mexico and missionary groups who work with indigenous people. So welcome, Eduardo.
Hello. I have to confess something. I'm very good to speak in Spanish, but not in English, okay? So I will try. This is the project, the house. This project we do with Architecture for Humanity in Monterrey and a law firm whose name is Mezcal. This is my city, Monterrey. This conformated by very different towns. One of these towns is San Pedro. San Pedro is one of the towns of the more rich in all Latin America. I believe it's the first. And we have buildings for Cesar Pelli, Norman Foster, Zaha Hadid, Talabando, etc., etc., etc. But we have a problem in this city. Near from these buildings, mirrors, 10 mirrors, we have a problem. This problem is very complicated to explain for a person like me, architect. I don't know. It's very difficult to explain because we see things like this. Yes, 10 mirrors of a building of Cesar Pelli. We see this, and every time when pass a hurricane or something like this is the principal people that is affected with disasters. It is Monterrey, yes? If you Google, in Google, search Monterrey, you can see this. But this is dentro de Monterrey, in Monterrey. So, the point of this project is the next. In our city, a part of the problem, the different economic and states or weights in the population, you can see numbers. I don't know why put this imagined, but we have a problem with the climate. In July, we have, I'm searching, is for you 120 degrees Fahrenheit. So we are proposing a wood house prefabricated with materials in the local zone. The 2 problems in this part are the next. It's very low, this change. This is one of the problems, yeah? If you go to Monterrey between March to September, it's very hot. You can stay in here. Every person who goes there say, no, Monterrey is pretty, but I don't want to be here more. I can go home, yeah. Other problem is this. The last week, it started to rain for 30 minutes, and we have 5 new rivers. the streets change the way, don't pass cars, now pass lanchas or bottles. We have some materials in a region. This is reed. This reed you can see in every part of our city is sustainable because grow in a natural process, and we are proposing wood and reed. The design project is very simple. We don't know well. I say you. We can be a big architect. We only propose
Thank you, Eduardo. I think your message was heard loud and clear, right, guys? Yeah. So next we have Donghwan Moon. You here? Yes, perfect. Donghwan is an architect and urban designer practicing currently at help me here. Yeah, Ocular Architects in New York. And he has been working as a lead designer on various projects, including master plans and large-scale commercial projects in the U.S. and Asia. So welcome, Donghwan.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Donghwan Moon. I'm an architect and also a director of architecture at a nonprofit organization called M3. Today I'm going to talk about M3, one of M3's project called Fit In Community Soil Bag House Prototype in Kenya. So M3 is a nonprofit charity group that brings young artists and designers throughout the world to deliver a hope to poor communities in Africa. Fit In Community is a project, long-term project, to help the communities by introducing local materials, by introducing sustainable building technology and comprehensive planning strategies. These are 2 projects that we have completed already. Each project has its unique stories that fits into communities. And today I'm going to talk about one project done in Ellerai, Kenya, inner land, 3 hours drive from capital city, Nairobi. So this is a site, very dry land, no sense of infrastructure, electricity. Majority of population here is Maasai people who are nomadic tribes, but now they want to settle their places in this area. So they start to build schools, community facilities, and so on. So they want to stay here, you know. So these are the typical houses that these guys have built. It's typical traditional Maasai style house, which is very unstable, and indoor environment is very unhealthy. I actually stayed here one night. It was quite bad. And these are type of houses they want to build as they want to settle down, you know. It's a cement, not affordable, very costly. It's not for these people. So we started to communicate with these people. What do you guys want? I mean, there are plenty of soil and plenty of people. So we decided to use the soil as a main building element. And also we're thinking about some smart innovation like cross ventilation and having these 2 layers of roofing system so that the heat is insulated. So these are the bags we found, recycled bags, soil bags. I mean the rice bags. So we wanted to use this as a main building element to have a soil bag house. It's actually approved by engineers many years ago, but we wanted to introduce this community. And I think this is something that they can really fast learn and really build their community together. So we start to show them how to assemble these bags and collect and making blocks. And these are some of the construction process. It's quite surprising by the fact that these people are really smart and they learn really fast. So the whole construction process was really fast, exciting, we're singing, just unbelievable. Some of the images, as you can see it here. So nearby community people actually come by and they really loved it. I mean, they were really curious what we were doing. What are you guys doing with the bags? I mean, but now the walls are going up and they're very excited and these are very strong walls. I mean, they love it. Of course, we're not just here to build the walls. I mean, we want to design something, right? So we start to use the recycled glass bottles to create this nice facade of the house. It's kind of tree looking. I mean, the decision was everyone likes tree and it's alive, and we're trying to employ that idea to main facade of the house. And after we finishing up the stacking up the bags, we start to finish the wall with the mud and the straw bale that we collected from the nearby the site. It's actually local material. So these are some of the construction process images. The roof, we recycle some of the like a 2x4 lumber nearby the site, and actually the roof is actually the most cost in this house, unfortunately. But we really want to develop and think about some other options for the roofing. That's kind of our, next step to research. These are sort of the final image. I mean, it's not great house, but this is something that we did with the community. Total cost was a little more than $1,000. We can definitely reduce that amount by employing the different roofing system. Research period was 1 week, and the whole construction period was 2 weeks, which is really fast. Some of the detailed photos, and we actually have a great view of Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, the highest mountain in Africa. So people love it. I mean, it's great. So this is a fun part. Right after we left, they started sending us photos. They started build stuff with our technology that we showed. This is amazing. I mean, they started build shelters, storage, like a little cage for chicken. I mean, these are amazing. I mean, this is something they really want. I mean, we don't want to build a house for them. It's for them to build their community. So this is a completion of the one chicken cage. It's quite amazing. I mean, they're designers. They're better than us, actually. And then there's some other examples, which you will see right after. Look at this. I mean, who would think this, round-shaped shelter storage? I mean, they're designers, they're great learners. They just do this by themselves after we left. And we're really excited when they send these images, and we're almost like, wow, this is something we really want. So this is our final house. It's a small house, but what I want to empathize is that our project is not about house, it's actually about process. It's about collaboration, it's about encouraging each other. It's about hope for everyone. So what we hope is that we're gonna continue this house, we're gonna continue this kind of projects, and we hope that these projects will give a hope to these communities and have a bright future, just like the stars and the light in the house. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was really great to see the progression from just one project turning into multiple projects in one community, just like by introducing one simple approach. It's really, really cool. Thank you. So next we have Brielle Pettinelli. Okay, perfect. So Brielle is co-founder and product manager for Ohneka Farms. Did I say that okay? Okay. With a passion for biology and the environment, Brielle focused her academic energies towards product design and manufacturing, completing her master's thesis at the University of Pennsylvania in home hydroponic systems. Brielle's experience in manufacturing working for innovative product manufacturer OXO spurred a great interest in green design. Brielle wants Ohneka Farms to bring sustainable food to urban environments and food deserts, creating green economies within local communities. Thank you, Brielle.
Thank you very much. Okay. What is 40% waste? In the United States, it's $152 billion every year just thrown away. It's 80% of our water, 50% of our land, and 10% of our energy costs. So we're Ohneka Farms. We're an interdisciplinary team of designers, biologists, and researchers who come together and have formed a mission to connect people to their food sources. We believe that a lack of knowledge, a lack of space, or light should not be an impediment to having access to fresh produce. So I was fortunate enough to grow up in a home where we did small-scale farm. I grew at home, I grew at my school, and I just saw how much that brought the community together. Even in Philadelphia, where backyards are about 4 feet wide, we were able to put 8-foot-tall tomatoes in a very tiny space just by manipulating that space. I also saw that some people aren't as fortunate. I came across a group of really brave young women at the Mary J. Blige Center last year who hacked their own garden space in this area right here. These women came from battered homes, and so it was a bright light, during dark times for them to have that garden. But the local ordinance this year told them they were not allowed to farm that area any longer. So the stories like this inspire us, and that's what brings us to our mission to connect people to their food sources, and that's all people. Believe it or not, there are places here right in our city that are designated as food deserts. Uptown, the Bronx, and beyond that, where we have soil throughout the country, we're creating real deserts. So believe it or not, as we know, green is good for you, and so are chemicals of the unadulterated kind. When you intake plant fibers into your system, you're ultimately absorbing phytonutrients, and you can't get those nutrients from food bought in a store because of USDA regulations and also because of the sheer amount of time that it needs to travel. And I believe that in public spaces and streets, we ultimately detach ourselves from what we once knew perhaps long ago, because we see signs like "don't step on the flowers." We're a young species, and if you think in terms of millennia, right, we're a young species, so we ultimately gravitate towards wanting to be in nature. So instead, let's integrate instead of detaching, whether it's a small apartment, a house, or a public space. We want to beautify those spaces because we really think that people want plants, and just not having the time or ability should not be an impediment. So right now we've been creating custom solutions to custom problems, and this is one example. We went to a swanky bachelor pad and installed a green wall, but it did more than that. It actually improved the air quality by significant amounts. It also gave the tenant the ability to learn basic plant maintenance. He wanted a garden, obviously could not do that in an apartment, so he was able to do so. We created a micro farm in Westchester, New York, that for a family who wanted to have organic produce within arm's reach, and they were able to actually eat off this plot along with their neighbors for an entire year, not having to go to the grocery store to buy produce. And they're going to actually continue to do so through the winter and fall in New York. So we create permaculture gardens, which means they're sustainable agricultural ecosystems that are designated to last for the coming years. So we build up the soil, we ward off pests using natural methods, and in that sense, it's going to be regenerative for the next coming years. And where can that take us? Well, literally, the sky is the limit. We so often hear terms like green roof and urban restaurant with a farm on top, whatever. Those farms actually have very low output, and the fanciest and swankiest of those are not open to the public. So we want to create real estate community integration. Right now, we're trying to figure out what that social component of our company is going to be. We're trying to figure out, is that a give back model, a one-for-one, type of model, and that's something we're working on now. But we're doing that through being set by example. On the next slide, you'll see Bridgeport, Connecticut. It's the epitome of a food desert. There are literally no stores there. There's a ton of crime and poverty. So this leader, Monique, along with the community, actually took a giant abandoned parking lot, giant, and made it a working farm. This is we came up with like methods that are not found in laboratories. These are people and consistent hacking to come up with solutions to grow food. We kind of like to think of ourselves as the bees. These are our bee boxes, working by teams of thousands, but as one entity to come up with solutions for all these problems. Slide. So we actually went through and tried to figure out what do people want to grow. Found it really fascinating that bringing back some of the heirloom varieties that were missing from Monsanto mania, people really intrigued by the color, the texture. People came up to me and said, I had never seen vegetables like this since I was back home, wherever their homeland was, India, Italy, wherever that was. Some people actually take the measure to do this and hack a little system together, but obviously it's aesthetically not too pleasing, subject to error, and you still might be missing some of the components that you actually need to grow plants. So there's workarounds. So we took time to experiment. I would say years of experimenting to come up with solutions that if you don't have light and you don't have plant knowledge and you definitely think you don't have time, you'll be able to grow plants in your small, tight urban setting. So we've been testing our own technology. We come up with a solution for a countertop growing device that will allow you to do so. But you have to stay tuned, unfortunately, because we're going to be launching a Kickstarter in the coming months. And we're super excited to launch this. So that's where we ask you. We're so appreciative of your input and spreading the good word in advance. And just in summation, going through this whole experience, there's something so magical about taking a small seed, turning it into fruit, and presenting the fruits of your labor on a plate. It's something that's brought confidence to me that we can create positive effects in the long run with our community. So thank you so much, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter. I think we've hit almost all of them at this point. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Brielle. Really cool to see that. And it's getting closer to dinner probably for all of us, so I'm getting a little hungry. So we've come to the last presenter tonight, which is, we're looking forward to Arome's presentation, but that means that it's the end of Design Open Mic, so I can't believe it. We made it through the entire day, and that was really exciting. So I'm going to introduce you, Arome, so come up here. Arome Agamah has a varied background that includes architecture, urban design, research, and international development. He's volunteered for Architecture for Humanity's London chapter since April 2012 on various projects, including the IPP Spring event, the Playroom at WOMAD, and proposals for the Elephant Amenity Network. He's part of the core team as meetup coordinator. Thank you for coming all the way from London, Arome.
Thank you. Okay, I don't like my voice on the microphone, so bear with me a minute, and I'll probably be a bit of a klutz as well. Okay, thank you very much for taking the time to come and listen to me speak. What I'm basically going to do is to just give a quick overview of an interesting collaboration that we as a chapter are doing with the Red Puna Network, who are based in Argentina. And just a quick word about who we are. We have been around since about 2005, working on a range of community-based projects at various scales. Mostly they're based in the UK, but once in a while we do things that are further afield, such as what I'm going to talk to you about. We're a multidisciplinary and multi-talented group as well. The Red Puna Network is basically a collective of farmers and artisans who are based in Northwest Argentina in the Jujuy region. The main focus of their activity is llama shepherding and associated activities that go on with it, like weaving, crafts, and other things like that. They are as much a social movement as they are a cooperative of workers, and they focus a lot on defending their members' economic and social interests. And they also are very strongly involved in promoting and preserving traditional farming and artisanal practices. I can see there. This is the Jujuy region where they're based, so you can see it's bordered by Bolivia up there and Chile towards this side. So in lots of ways it is pretty much a crossroads of cultures. And the economic development is also fairly varied across the region as well. This is a very challenging environment. It is quite high altitude and semi-arid at best. So you can imagine they'll be having problems with water stress and food security. And there's also issues relating to land rights and ancestral claims to land and conflicts with the government. And the entrance of multinational mining corporations is adding an extra pressure there as well. The region is also the location of a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Quebrada de Humahuaca. Sorry about the pronunciation. It's obviously a very beautiful, stark landscape, and it cuts across the middle of that map I showed you. And it's important because it has about 10,000 years worth of human history there. In terms of needs, the most pressing needs for the community or for the network are improved and additional workspaces and areas for communal activity. And so you can see what the current state is there now. And our initial involvement came about through a research project looking at how architecture and planning can improve the lives of communities there. This is our team here. That is Claudia Murray and Catherine McNeil. She's a trustee of our chapter, and they directed the research project, and they're directing the way that the project is evolving. And those guys on the right are fashion designers who have promoted the work of the network as well. So what we are doing right now is basically working with the community quite closely to help them visualize their ideas and also to develop detailed project briefs. And the mechanism that we use is through participatory workshops, like you can see there. And also our on-ground team has also been taking quite a lot of tours through the various locations and settlements that the network is based, basically mapping out the current facilities that they have there, the assets that they have, and also the resources so that we can see how we can map, use, and develop linkages. So what we are aiming to do is to basically put the communities in the driving seat. The expression that we like to use is to basically hand over the pencil and the pen to them, and basically to make them the architects. And our role is just to act as facilitators through a number of tools that we've developed to guide their thoughts and to put it in an architectural language. And obviously, whilst we look at everything, the important thing is to have an understanding of the context, both the historical, political, and especially the cultural context, because the way that these people see themselves and their place in the land and how they're connected to it is a very important step that we have to follow. And even though this is quite an early stage, we are working according to some certain guiding principles to direct the project. So one of the things that we're looking at is incremental development, which starts basically with your own identified priorities, working with available resources, and growing naturally according to how your own needs and aspirations grow. And we also want to encourage the use of design features that work with the environment and try to improve the attributes of space and function using as passive means as possible, which I'm sure you all know about. We also aim to create buildings which are ecologically sustainable and also suited to the specific environments that they find themselves in. So obviously very difficult terrain, and also trying to think of new and possibly alternative methods that we can use to those situations. We also want to understand their work patterns and their daily activities so that we can create spaces that are suited to their daily work and can act as ergonomically as possible. These images and the other ones you've seen before are results of workshops that we have done in London anyway to try and understand and create solutions to them. And the network is likely to form the heart of the communities that they're present in. So obviously they'll have to be adaptable to different purposes and to different needs and functions according to what the community needs and according to what the local branch needs as well. And we also want to prioritize the use of local and naturally sourced materials, which could encourage the proper use of available resources, and which can also reflect the identity of the places that we are working in. And also, such methods tend to involve quite a lot of community involvement, and building together is something which is not strange to these people. So we want to tap into that resource. You can follow the progress through those outlets there. And we have obviously quite a large group of people who have helped to make this possible. Our donors and sponsors and reach out partners at the Henley Business School and the Walker Institute. So obviously this is a long-term and strategic project, and we're quite keen to develop quite an extensive partnership and network of people who have expertise, knowledge of the local area, or just any common interest. So we are open to any sort of collaboration from anyone, both through the chapter network and through anyone here who might be interested. Thank you very much for listening. Okay.
Thank you, Arome. Thank you. So yes, definitely get in contact with Arome or the London chapter if you're interested in getting involved in this project, and I'm sure they have many more that he can tell you about. I just wanted to say we're going to close out in a few things, and I want Eric to also say thank you, but I just personally want to say thank you. It was such an honor to listen to everyone's presentations. They were excellent and amazing and inspiring, and I think we all learned a lot today. And then, just connect and talk to one another. I mean, there were so many great similarities and differences in the projects that I think we just opened up a great platform for continued dialogue. So, and now I want to introduce Eric Kessel, who's our Executive Director of Architecture for Humanity. So he will close out Design Open Mic. Thanks.
Yeah, Audrey just stole all the cool things I was going to say. So, yeah, funny. Anyway, this has been great. And for those of you who were here at the beginning, I opened and told everybody that this is one of the 5 favorite parts of my job. And it's definitely my favorite time of year just because, for me, it's an explosion of inspiration. I get to see all the cutting edge ideas, and it gives me enough inspiration and creative juice to keep going for 12 months. And at least half a dozen times a day, I've looked up and thought, I'm going to be working for that person someday. I mean, the future leaders of humanitarian design are in this room. So I would just make a couple of requests. One, get involved. Architecture for Humanity is non-proprietary. We don't seek ownership over everybody's ideas. We don't, attempt to brand everything in the world. But joining a chapter, subscribing to the newsletter, it's kind of like having this conversation, but like all the time. So, you can hang out and connect with similarly minded designers. You can exchange ideas. You can support each other. You can make teams. You can get all sorts of things accomplished. So join the newsletter. Join a chapter. If there's no chapter in your city, start a chapter. The more the merrier. I'm fond of saying that the architecture and the humanity are more important than Architecture for Humanity, and I believe that. This is not an organization, it's a movement, and you guys are at the heart of it, whether you have an AFH business card or not, because everything that was up on these screens today is architecture done for humanity, and that just makes me damn proud. So thank you guys again. I know people are probably exhausted. I think they start serving wine in like 5 minutes, so I'll race you there. Thank you.